Hello and welcome to New Zimbabwe Chat. My name is Gilbert Nyambabvu, and today we are talking to Mr. MacJones Hunduza. He is involved in the financial services sector here in the UK, and they've also launched an operation in Zimbabwe. So that's what we're going to be talking about, what they've done so far and where they are looking to go with what they are doing in Zimbabwe. Mr. Hunduza, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
If we could begin with a bit of background, what are you doing here in the UK?
Okay, I am a trained qualified chartered accountant, and I'm also in the financial sector. I worked for Citibank and now Credit Suisse as a director.
Right. I understand you've launched an operation in Zimbabwe. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so we are bringing revolutionary financial inclusion in Zimbabwe that is aimed at providing cheaper access to finance for smaller businesses and individuals who are employed in the private sector and the government.
Yeah, but there are already people who are involved in this kind of activities in Zimbabwe. How different is what you're offering?
Because we have access to, our leverage is, or our competitive advantage is access to cheaper finance, cheaper capital in London. We are offering cheaper rates to businesses and companies in Zimbabwe. So in other words, our lending rates will be very competitive next to bank rates that are being offered by major banks in Zimbabwe. Secondly, we also believe in efficiency. We are bringing innovation in terms of technology, where our customers will be using apps, and we also have a very linear business model, which we believe is going to optimize our lending process and also give us a competitive advantage over other microfinance and financial inclusion banks in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I understand you have plans to go regional. Can you tell us a bit more about that as well?
Yes. So at the moment, we've just been focusing on the Zimbabwean market. We have branches in Bulawayo and Harare, and soon we'll be having Gweru branch and other cities like Ntare and other smaller towns. We believe in markets that we understand, and we're building Zimbabwe as a strong base. And we will be moving to, very soon, we'll be moving into Botswana. Because we also believe that there is huge appetite for our products, and we will be moving into Zambia, South Africa, and then Kenya.
Yeah. Can diasporans also access your services and products?
Yes, sure. So our business model is not just for customers or consumers or businesses in Zimbabwe. We're also offering our products to the diaspora, whether it's UK, US, and who have projects in Zimbabwe or Africa, or even here in diaspora.
In talking about the diaspora, the government tells us that remittances have become a key source of finance for the country. But there is a concern that most of the remittances are mainly consumptive, which don't really impact much in terms of helping turn around the economy. How do you think we can, address that issue?
One of the things that I'm looking at my PhD economics program is access to how access to credit can help in firm innovation and economic growth. And I think as Zimbabwe, as an emerging market, we need to encourage innovation, product innovation, and what they need is cheaper access to credit, and hence we are bringing these products to small businesses and individuals in Zimbabwe who were previously unbanked and they were considered informal sector. And we believe that our products will encourage everyone to be innovative, set up a business that we can finance.
Right. We have seen a Brexit here in the UK, adversely impacting the pound, losing value against the US dollar. I would expect that would also impact the amount of remittances that are going to Zimbabwe, because people won't be able to send as much before. So how is the fall of the dollar, of the pound rather, affected remittances to Zimbabwe? And how can we, as a country, work to increase remittances from?
Yes, as you could imagine, Zimbabwe is considered the second United States, because Zimbabwe we're using US dollar and the bond note, which is equivalent to the US dollar. So it means the impact of Brexit, the pound has weakened against major currencies, including the Zimbabwean US dollar.
Or the Zimbabwean bond.
Exactly, or the Zimbabwean bond. So in other words, the Zimbabwean bond is gaining traction at the minute. So what we need to do as a country and as the policies need to encourage foreign direct investment. The policies need to encourage foreign investors to invest in a country like Zimbabwe, so that we produce products that we can export. Once we export, it boosts the economy. And yes, obviously, it's an emerging market. This is why companies like us are now taking products into Zimbabwe, because we think Zimbabwe is an emerging market, and I think what the government needs to do is to come up with policies that encourage foreign investment.
I attended an Africa Business Forum at Oxford quite recently, and you've just mentioned the term there, emerging markets in Africa. Zimbabwe was not mentioned as one of those. They were talking about your Kenyas, your Cote d'Ivoire's, your South Africa, your Nigeria, and whatnot. I think the question is, how can we change the perception about Zimbabwe? Because when people think about the country now, they think about the past, which was not that good. They don't think about what is possible. You have gone into that market and invested there. How can we convince other investors to do what you've done?
And I think that's one of the things that when we're looking at financing, the question was, why Zimbabwe? Why Zimbabwe?
Yes.
And this is a very valid question. I think the key is the context. Zimbabwe has in the past been considered as a rough country from a political landscape. And I think it's important for the politicians in Zimbabwe to convince the markets that they have policies that encourage foreign investment. And what you need as a foreign investor are policies which are safe, policies which encourage foreign investment.
But you have gone there with the situation as it is now. Is your investment emotional, or do you actually believe there are opportunities there?
I think there are opportunities in Zimbabwe. I strongly believe that Zimbabwe is one of the best economies in Africa. We have the right resources, we have mining, we have agriculture, and I think what we need to do as a country is just to convince the market, is just to convince investors that they are welcome. And even in terms of repatriation of profits, the shareholders, they need confidence. And we have the right infrastructure. Technology is booming. There is appetite for business. There are businesses like ourselves who are waiting, who are ready to invest in Zimbabwe, as long as the policies, the government is giving confidence to the market and the foreign investors that they are welcome in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important point there about investors needing assurance that they can take their returns out of the country. The country is using bond notes at the moment, which you can't take out. And so if somebody invests in Zimbabwe, how then can they expect to get their returns out of the country?
We think that the bond note is a temporary measure, and it's being used to complement the US dollar because of liquidity or cash crisis. However, I think the key is to, if you're a foreign investor, the key is to do what's called the matching. For instance, if you invest in Zimbabwe, you are exporting in Zimbabwe, and then there's another investor who wants to import. It means you can then match your receivables and payables. And also, I think what investors need to be considering is not just a quick return. The investors, they need to think about the long term. And we think that this is temporary because of cash shortages, but there's massive opportunity, there's massive potential. And We are looking at hedging strategies at the minute. We are looking at matching. We're also looking at longer-term investment. This is why we want to diversify not just Zimbabwe but other countries regionally. But our strong focus, our main focus at the minute is Zimbabwe because there's potential, and we're considering long-term investment.
Mr. Hunduza, thank you very much for talking to us, and all the best with what you are doing in the country and also here in the UK.
Thank you. We're looking forward to your synergies.
Thank you. You're welcome.